Jasmine, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
So you just invited me. I was scrolling through the whole invite someone to go live with you, and I never saw you live. I don't know. I never know what I'm doing on this app. So,
No, I tell you what,
yeah,
I'm late, so
that's
it's
okay.
totally my
That's
fault.
okay. I was
I
just,
was like,
yeah,
you
talking
know,
to like my no viewers, saying that you never know if someone's a late person or if your 8 o'clock is the same as their 8 o'clock. You just so then you just start talking to yourself. But
I
before
am
we go
so
on,
sorry.
I'm
Do you
just no, don't worry, don't. I'm just kidding. I'm just going to introduce you because this is going to go on my YouTube channel. So Jasmine Watson,
Oh,
ladies and
cool.
gentlemen, who is the debut author of the amazing fantasy novel Torn, which is due out. What's the exact date?
21st of September.
1st of September. Get your pre-orders in. It's very exciting. So it's really exciting to do this with somebody on the same time zone as me. Woohoo! Look, we can have a glass together.
Surreal. Oh, I've got a drink as well.
What have you got?
I wanted gin, but
Okay.
I'm a bit worried to drink on live just in case. I don't trust myself.
Over 18, if you're in the UK, 21 in America. It's all right, kids. We'll do.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to drink on live television. It's apple juice, really. It's fine. It's fine. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
fine.
you can't do an interview without a glass of bubbles. That's just my excuse anyway. So. Yeah.
Oh, bless you.
Excellent.
Oh, I've been so looking forward to this.
I know, it's so much fun. I've seen people do like live things on Instagram, and I've been part of something on Instagram where actually one author interviews another author, and then the author interviews the next author, and it goes down the chain, and it's been really fun. And I thought, actually,
cool.
I'd love to do a series on TikTok, but I want to interview everyone, but just because I'm nosy. So that's just tough.
Why not?
Yeah. So, Jasmine, tell me, when did you first join TikTok? Because that's how we've met, in this whole book talk community. So, when did you first come over?
Well, so I've actually had TikTok for quite a while,
Yeah.
but like making my own account was only in January.
Okay.
And I kind of didn't really think I was gonna actually ever post on there properly. I kind of just occasionally put like a thing about Song of Achilles on or something like that, and I never showed my face or anything like that because I was really freaked out too. And then I thought, I'm writing this book, like I'll just see, because I could see other authors kind of like putting up their things, and it was during the time when kind of like putting up your aesthetic videos was really in.
Well, I still love doing that. I could spend hours putting aesthetics together. I love it. But yeah,
I love it too. I saw someone saying it was like, oh, so 2020, and I was like, oh my gosh, I still do it all the time.
I will never stop.
Which is fine.
I never get as many views from my aesthetics, but I will never stop because I like it.
Exactly. It's just so much fun, and like just scrolling through like Pinterest and stuff. Like, I don't know. So I did that, and then I just started to post like a little bit more about my book, and then it's kind of been since then.
So when you joined, did you know that Book Talk existed, or did you just kind of find out about it after you'd made your account?
Yeah, I just kind of found it. Oh, sorry, I've just seen that my best friend's watching. Thank you. Bless. Yeah, so I actually only found out that Book Talk was a thing when I saw like a recommendation video come up, and I had only recently got back into reading. I've literally been in a reading slump for about 8 years probably. And my dad got me a Kindle for Christmas, so I was like back into reading, and I think because I've been looking up books on my phone and stuff like that,
dangerous,
it started to show me on TikTok. So yeah, but it's so nice. It's such a nice community. Like everyone's so lovely.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I felt like I had come late to Book Talk because I think I joined May, June time. And, you know, because I've been all over Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and I kind of was thinking, you know, I write young adult. I'm thinking, why am I on all these dinosaur social media platforms when my readership's on TikTok? And I didn't know that Book Talk existed, but I found it very quickly.
Yeah.
Very excited. But now that I've been on there for a while, you get to realize actually there are authors, but once you've gone through your For You page or something, you actually, and then you start getting the repetition, you realize there's not as many as you think there could be. So maybe we've got in at the right time. Who knows? Have you tried any other social media platforms? No.
So like I've only really got it for I've got Instagram like for my personal stuff, but I only use TikTok really to promote my book. But Twitter scares me. Like I've had Twitter before.
Twitter can be it can be very angry.
Yes.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth of Twitter, I stay most of my time in private message boards. So I have a group with authors that all debuted in the same year that I did. So there's about 40 of us in a group, and I've got my writing group. There's 12 of us. So I rarely go onto big Twitter, as I call it. I just hide out in the message rooms and chat with my friends. So which is the one thing TikTok needs is a group messaging system. That would be awesome.
I agree.
Yeah, that would be cool. So tell us about Torn. Tell us what it's about, first of all. If you can. I know that's the really hard question. You can just read your blurb if you want to. But, you know, ramble on.
So Torn is set in a world called The Middle. And this book is actually based in the in-between, but the realm itself is called The Middle.
Wow.
And the middle is broken into the above, the in-between, and the below. And the in-between is kind of in a lower state of political being to the other places. So those with powers are really discriminated against. They have to have a census where they show who they are. They have to pay extra taxes. They have to tell everyone who they are, what they're doing all the time. Anytime they buy anything, they have to get it authorized, all of that sort of stuff. And then there's this evil villain who has come back after a long period of time, and he basically wants to wipe out everyone with powers in the in-between. So Jacob Grimm, who is one of my main characters. Oh my gosh, don't get me started. I love it.
You're in love with your character. I love it. Perfect.
He decides that he needs more help to fight this villain. So he knows that he needs an elemental because they used to protect the in-between. But there's only one elemental left, and she lives in the above, and she doesn't realise that the in-between exists.
I like it. So these people with powers, are they fairies, witches, just humans that have powers? And what percentage of the people that live there actually have these powers?
So they're kind of a mix. So there are fae, and there's elves, and there's humans, and all of that. So my friend, I don't know if you can see the comments as well. My friend just put, "What a man's about Jacob."
No, see, I think I can only see my viewers, and you see your viewers. I think. Yeah.
So it's a relatively small percentage, but it is like made up of fae and humans and other mythical creatures, but they only discover that they have powers when they're 16. So that's kind of what happens then. They then have to say that they've got powers. And
I love it when there's ages for these powers. Because, you know, like the Fifth Wave had it, and my mermaid series has it. It's like they discover their mermaids when they go through puberty. You know, they don't have their temper, and it always makes me giggle in a way because actually it's quite arbitrary, isn't it? I mean, why 16? Why 13? Why 21? Why?
Yeah.
But you've got to start somehow, don't you? But I know it's one of the tropes that I really like. Actually, yeah. Actually, what do you even call that as a trope? I don't know. I'm really bad about identifying tropes. When I see people do, when I see people do all the tropes in my book, I'm like, I don't actually know what tropes I've got. I just write. But
it's a bit like that sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's called Jacob Grimm. does that have anything to do with the Grimm fairy tales? That influence? Oh, so tell me a bit more about that then.
So by the way, I saw that you got the Grimm fairy tales the other day in your lovely book.
It's right here, like, actually. Yeah, I'm very excited to read this. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I've literally been obsessed with the Grimm brothers for years and years and years and years, and I always knew that I wanted to do something based off of them in some way, shape, or form. But I really wanted them to be included in it because I think, you know, there's so many different retellings and stuff, and you never really hear about them. And I thought it would be so cool if you saw kind of like Jacob. I don't want to spoil things.
I know nothing about them, to be honest. So is he actually called Jacob in real life? Yeah. And so
he's called Jacob Grimm.
Okay.
Yeah. And his brother's called Wilhelm.
Okay. So is he? Does he feature in the book as well? Does Wilhelm come into it as well? Yes, maybe. Okay,
I don't want to spoil anything, but he might. Right. No,
cool.
So they are very, very interesting people, especially Jacob, when you kind of, I mean, I've made him like, you know, a book boyfriend, effectively.
Yeah.
But the people themselves were very, very interesting and like quite warped in a way to come up with all of the stuff that they did. But Jacob has like said quite a lot of like interesting stuff which really influenced my novel. So yeah,
that's fantastic.
He's got some really cool quotes. I don't want to spoil things. It's really hard.
I mean, did you do a lot of research into them then before you? I mean, did you do the research before you started writing, or did you kind of have to do research as you went along? How did that all feature in your book?
Yeah, so it was definitely a mix of because they had been an interest of mine for quite a while. I knew a fair bit about them before I started writing, because I knew originally, I don't think I've ever told anyone this before, but originally what Torn was going to be was that Jacob Grimm ran an army of like fairy tale assassins, and that was going to be the whole thing.
Yeah.
But then I kind of it's turned into what it is now, and it's not too far from the truth that they are all an army that are based off of fairy tale characters, but they aren't directly fairy tale characters. So yeah, I mean, I did know a fair bit, but especially for writing the sequel, I've done a lot more looking into Jacob and who he is, because he kind of really comes into his own in the second book. So I really wanted to know more about the actual person himself. I mean, he's very loosely based off of the real person.
Okay. That's really. So how many books do you see this becoming? Is it just 2, or is there 4?
There's going to be 3 to start with, and then I really want to do prequels. So
that is so exciting. I think it's amazing. I mean, and like Ali, who's, you know, she's got her 5-part series plan, but she's doing all these novellas and stuff. And I think it's actually really, and like the Selection series, which I recently got into, they've got novellas as well. And I actually think it's a really clever thing to do. I might go back to my dystopian trilogy and do a little novella prequel and stuff like that. Yeah, I might do that. I think it's a fantastic way to get to know other characters as well, actually. So I am so excited for this book. This is so my cup of tea. And I've been waiting for the paperback pre-orders to be ready, because I'm like, this book is so beautiful. I need to be able to stroke it. You know, I need to be able to take it to bed with me.
Thank you.
So how did you come about the cover? Did you design it? Did you have a cover artist? Or, I mean, it is just stunning. So tell me about that. Yeah.
Thank you. It's actually a cover designer. So she's called Sarah Oliver. I've got it with me actually. I'll have to send you her link, but she just came up with all of it, and she is absolutely insanely talented. I mean, I could not imagine anything like this would ever come out, but like there's just I just want to point out some little like Easter eggs on it almost, because so the way that the cape kind of comes out into a waterfall, that is actually intentional, because waterfalls are really important in the book. So I just love that she did that little detail. I just think that's so cool. And all of these here are like the elements. So because it's about elementals, so water, air, fire.
That's amazing.
She's insane.
That's amazing. I love elemental magic. I think it's used all the time in fantasy novels, but it never gets old because it's so primitive.
No,
it's because it's primal, isn't it? I mean, water, air, fire, wind, spirit, things that have been around since the beginning of time, and and different people's interpretation of how to use those always fascinates me. So I'm wondering now if you watched A, the series once, and B, the Grimm. What was it called? Grimm. Was it just called Grimm?
It's just called Grimm.
Yeah, it was just called Grimm. I can see you being fans of these two shows. Am I right? Yeah.
I big time was.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
I loved what. I mean, my big like gripe with Once was kind of after series 3. I think it got a bit like, I don't know, it just got a bit away from itself, I think, which was a shame, but I really loved Grimm. I watched it oh my gosh, I got so obsessed with that.
I didn't watch it to the end, and I didn't watch Once to the end, but my son did actually, and I still intend to go back and watch it all. I loved how they just took all the fairy tale characters and put them together. I thought that was genius. And great. Both of them I thought were really clever. Yeah.
Really, like, just I think the real cool part of it was you could kind of be like, oh, that's whoever before they were coming up. It was so interesting. I absolutely loved it. It was so good,
especially in Once. How I love how they actually inverted tropes, how like Peter Pan wasn't a clean cut nice guy, Captain Hook wasn't just evil. So I thought that was done really well, actually, of how, it wasn't just straight same characters from the fairy tale. So, and I don't know if you've seen the new Cinderella on Amazon Prime, but
not yet. No.
Oh, I watched that recently. It is joyous. It is a feministic retelling and so appropriate for today's age. But it does. It fills you with. It just makes you smile. So that's a good one for you. Yeah, you'll love that. You will love that. Yeah,
I'll have to watch it. Love all the stuff like that.
So obviously you were heavily influenced by the Grimm brothers and their fairy tales. What else kind of inspires you to write this book? Were there any other things that kind of throughout your life might have contributed to this plot?
So there's a lot of my heart in this book, definitely. A lot of, so it's actually, one of my art readers did say that it was kind of, the world was kind of similar to this, which was really cool for me. But Stardust was one of my favorite ever.
Amazing.
Love it.
Where have you gone?
Back?
Yeah.
I'm back.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
Right. You were frozen.
I know. Not good. So that really inspired it. And then kind of from there's quite a lot of like political stuff in there, which is kind of how I feel a lot towards the world and stuff like that. So there's a lot of me in there, basically.
Well, and I think there has to be, in a way, because I think unless you write with your heart and soul, then it doesn't feel genuine, does it? So I think, and I know there's lots of people that write to market and they can turn out a book and do that, and that's, great. But for me, I need to feel it. I need to feel it. I need to have that emotion it makes such a difference. I don't think I could ever write something that I didn't want to write, So
I agree.
Amazing. Yeah. So was this the first book you ever wrote, or have you got manuscripts in a drawer somewhere, or what's been your journey, let's say, to now?
It's been the biggest manuscript that I've written, so I've kind of always got to about the same part. I've got to about 30% in, and I've thought, oh my gosh, this is absolutely going nowhere, and I've like chucked it in the bin.
Wow.
But I've been writing for a long time, and my best friend who's watching, I write with her literally every single day, and if we put together all of our stories, we probably could make about like 10 books.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been like my writing process and stuff, and I wrote like loads of fan fiction, like everyone has at some point in their writing life. But yeah, this is definitely the furthest that I've ever got, because it was kind of like a thing of, there were 2 different books that I really wanted to write, and then I thought if I put these 2 books together, they would actually really work, and that was what made Torn.
I love a mashup. I mean, those are the inspired novels, in my opinion, I think. Yeah, and they come out of left field. And you've got someone in your real life that you can write with. That is astonishing. I know no one in my real life that I can write with, so they all look at me like I'm weird. And my husband doesn't even read, so you know, I think that's fantastic.
No.
Yeah, really
yeah, cool. She's amazing.
Yeah. So did you?
Oh, sorry, I'm just popping my charger.
That's okay. Did you do any like formal writing? Have you ever done any formal writing courses or tuition, or are you, you know, have you just gone, no, I'm passionate, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to do that? Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually studied film at uni, so I did do quite a lot of like looking into like story theory and that sort of thing, and like I'm just a huge film buff, so I'm just like obsessed with that anyway. And I was actually a freelance writer for about 3 or 4 years probably, but doing mainly like sort of film reviews and like analytics of like analysis of films, and like, oh my gosh, I've written so much weird stuff in my past.
That sounds so cool. I would like
to write.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I like that. But I think when you're writing critically and you've only got a certain amount of words to do it in, you've got to be able to dissect a plot and you've got to understand story structure. So I can imagine that you have learned incredible amounts from doing that, and what works. And it's the same thing in a book, to be honest. I mean, yes, when you turn a book into a movie, there are things that you have to lose because you can only have 120 pages in a film script. But it's the same. You got to hit the same beats, you know, all the way up through, and that's why 100%. So much of that film structure actually applies to novel writing as well. And you know, you've got that instinctally probably now, which is fantastic. So, oh, it's so exciting! Yay! Fantastic. So, have you written book 2 or book 3 yet?
I'm about 30-40% in, so I know exactly what I want to happen. I've plotted it all out. All of it's been plotted out, so all of the trilogy has been plotted out since before I wrote book 1.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
So I mean, obviously like things have changed along the way, but major plot points are all there. So it's just, there's one, obviously without spoiling anything, there's one particular bit that I really want to get to in book 2, and I think that's what's holding up book 2 is that I just really want to get to it.
But it's that sweet anticipation. For me, when I have moments like that, it makes me write quicker. It might not be very good writing, but it gets me the words down because I want to get to that moment, you know. But sometimes you need to go through the process, don't you? Because that moment needs the build up. So you've got to make sure you put the right effort in to do the due diligence.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's really exciting. Yeah. So when do you think you'll have book 2 out? So book 1 comes out obviously in a couple of weeks. What's your plan for book 2 and book 3 to come out?
I really want book 2 out earlier than I put book 1 out this year. So I want it kind of like before summer, because I think I know more about like the writing process now. I was a total novice, like when I came into it from the actual like publishing and getting beta readers and all of that sort of thing. And I know more about that now. So I think I'll have a more realistic expectation on what I can do and stuff like that. So yeah, so I'm hoping kind of June, July maybe.
Yeah. Cool.
But we'll see. And then book 3, who knows?
Yeah. What I found, if you can manage it, or it might be, I don't know if you've done this, it might be too late already, is to put your first chapter of your book 2 into the end of book 1.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because it kind of gets people realizing, there's a book 2, and gets people a bit excited. And obviously with your e-copy, you can change that all the time for free and upload that. That's fine. But
That's a good point.
I actually had books where after I started editing, the chapter completely changed, but I haven't gone back to change what was in the end of the book. So
wow. Oh, right.
So yeah, but no, that can be a good hook.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And actually, I saw somebody on TikTok the other day talking about, I think it was that guy who's got loads of followers, and I can't remember his name. Can we have a wrap up at the beginning of each subsequent book of what happened in the previous book? And because I always hesitated about in the story recapping what had happened, because I felt it was too boring for, having read. But actually, if you just have a couple of pages saying recap, I thought it was a great idea. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I could do with that, because literally when I pick up the sequel of any book, I'm like, what happened?
Trying to remember.
Who are these people?
Yeah, you just need the key characters, key points, don't you? And then you're away. Especially if you've waited to read, waiting for the next book to come out and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I'm so bad with remembering like details because I started reading Traitor Queen, like the second one of Bridge Kingdom. And I had to go back and Google so much stuff. I was like, who is this?
Yeah.
Who's talking? I thought you died.
Well, I think especially in fantasy novels, obviously one of the funniest tropes that makes me giggle about fantasy novels are how names and places are so complicated, I don't know why. I just don't know why. Actually, I don't write or read high fantasy that much, but I have written a book, a high fantasy vampire book. But I have not done weird names. It's just the North. The vampires live in the North, in the ice castle. That's it. Done. The middle. It's the wastelands. I don't need these fancy Middle Earth and whatever. I can't even remember. I mean, I love Lord of the Rings, but I can't even remember what all those places are called. So I don't know if you've done that in your novel. You probably have, and you're probably giving me evil eyes now. So I can't wait to read it though.
No, it's fine. Yeah. Mine's like a mix actually, because my actual realm places are called like the above and the below.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is quite like basic.
Yeah.
But then the ones in between are a bit of like the actual towns have got a bit of a mix of names.
Yeah. But I like that the above and that it to me that brings in a supernatural vibe. And it makes me think of like Stranger Things, it's the inside out and the back to front and all that kind of stuff. So I really like the idea that you've got that, because it's like, is it dimensions? Is it realms? How does it exist? Those are really interesting questions. So yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you've plotted out these books. So are you a plotter then? What's your plotting process?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a mix really, that I kind of plot. I mean, I've plotted all of the 3 books.
Yeah, that's
but then kind of halfway through I'll probably be like, I don't know about this bit, and I'll like take it out, or I'll think, actually, like I think this would be quite a good thing to do. And then I'll add that in. So I'm a bit of a mix. Like I know there are sort of key things that I want to happen in each book.
Yeah.
And then as long as I get to those points at some stage, then that's all that matters really. So, but in terms of the actual process, it's literally just like sitting down, listening to music, and just kind of thinking.
You're a music writer. I'm a total silence writer. So it always fascinates me when people can do music and do playlists for their books, because I'm like, I don't have a playlist. I need silence,
Oh, wow.
I'd like to have a playlist, but then that would take me hours scrolling through my Spotify list, trying to figure out what songs would work. And then that's another procrastination thing. But I love it when I hear people that do write to music, and I just think, gosh, what is that like? So, I mean, it must give you so much mood and emotion, and I can see how that would work. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm like the opposite of you, that I literally can't work without music. Like even when I'm doing my day job, I have to have music on, because otherwise I literally can't concentrate at all. but my writing music is the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack, and that's it. That's all I listen to.
That's beautiful. Well, actually, and so without words, actually, I get that. If you like the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack, you should listen to the Last of the Mohicans soundtrack.
Yes, love it. Oh my gosh, it
almost reduces me to tears. I find it so motivational and inspirational.
Yeah,
I adore it. It's made, yeah. Oh,
it's
you know
so stunning.
Yeah, and I love the movie as well. It's fantastic. Yeah.
I haven't actually seen it. I only have heard the soundtrack.
Oh, you should. Yeah, you really should. It is one of my favorite movies of all time, actually. One of the few that's not like horror related. Yeah, it's one of those movies that stays with you, and it's one of those ones you can watch again and again and again. And I just think, yeah, it's obviously, yeah, it's got so much to it. It's got romance and it's got adventure and it's got history, and you know, there's so much in that I think you would really enjoy that, actually, knowing what you're into now. Yeah.
I think I've seen it that's on Netflix at the moment, so I might have to watch it.
I've actually bought the book, and I rarely go back to read a book once I've seen a movie, but because it's such a classic, I'm curious about how the book was handled, you know?
So definitely.
I want to go and read that and kind of compare it and see what that's like.
Wow.
Yeah,
that'd be so cool.
Yeah. So you mentioned Easter eggs on your cover. Do you have any more within the book? Have you laid anything out?
Yes.
Yeah. I do like an Easter egg. Are they hard to find, or what do you think?
It's going to be a bit of a weird one, because I think people will probably only really find them when they've read book 2, and they can like be like, oh, I think there's gonna, I don't really want to spoil anything, but I think it's going to be one of those kind of books that when a certain thing happens in book 2, you go, oh, what? And then you read back book 1 and you're like, oh, okay, that was kind of there all along, sort of thing.
I love books that do that amount of foreshadowing, that plant seeds in book 1 and then pays off in book 2, book 3. It's so clever. And actually, I think the most clever thing I ever saw with foreshadowing was the Game of Thrones series. Did you watch the Game of Thrones series? Okay.
Yes.
So the whole Hodor, and his, and that was what, series 4 when that came out. Hold the door, hold the door. That was the cleverest foreshadowing I've ever seen. I just sat there with my mouth open. That was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I know.
I love that.
It was just, oh my gosh, that really stuck with me. That I thought that is insane. Like, I'm the same as you, that I absolutely love things like that. Like, have you read / seen Shutter Island?
Yes, I've seen it.
Watching that for the second time was like watching a whole new film. Like, knowing what happens at the end, you're like, oh my gosh, it was there all along and we didn't see it.
I'm going to have to watch it again. I will. Yeah, I did like that. I'm a big fan of Leonardo Dicaprio as well. I think he's phenomenal. And I loved Inception. I just think that's one of the cleverest movies I've ever seen. And
insane.
I can watch that again and again and still not fully understand it. You know, it's a bit like the series Lost, you know?
Oh my gosh!
But apparently,
funnily enough, me and my sister are watching Inception tomorrow for the first time. My sister's never seen Inception.
Okay.
So I was like, you need to see it because I've watched it 100 times.
And you need to. You need to, because you're like, how did you know? It's just it's such a head.
Exactly.
You know, just like, it's incredible. So obviously, your book is fantasy. Do you read just fantasy, or? And what are some of your favorite fantasy books? And if you read things outside of fantasy, what other kind of things do you like to read?
I mainly stick with fantasy, but I do kind of dip into contemporary romance. Normally as a bit of like a palate cleanser in a way. Like if I've been in a really heavy fantasy. Sorry, I've got my foot stuck in my bed.
Okay, that's fun. I feel like might need video evidence of this foot in the desk. Brilliant, love it.
Oh my gosh, the struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my favourite fantasy books, probably Bridge Kingdom, Game of Thrones, loved it. I really, really liked Enchantment of Ravens. I read that the other day. I think that's one of my favourite books of all time. A book you would really like, actually, if you've not read it, is Straight On Till Morning by KJ Sutton.
Oh, I don't know that.
You would love
that down.
Peter Pan retelling. Really good.
Oh, is that the one? I've seen this. It's got a Peter Pan influence to it, no?
Yes, it's a complete retelling. Yeah. It's really, really good.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
But yeah, I do like I love Colleen Hoover. She is literally my favourite author of all time. I think
is she following
insane.
You? Is she following you?
No, I wish.
Naughty Colleen Hoover.
She's following you, right? I know.
We need to get her to follow you then. Yeah. I love her TikToks as well. She's so funny. And I loved that one. Did you see the one where her son did the blind TikTok about this other girl that was fangirling? I mean, and I showed it to my son. I said, this is going to be me when I'm, shit hot famous, bestseller, and he just 100%. Shook his head at me, I was like, but then you'll be TikTok famous, oh, it's so good. She's very dry. Yeah, it's great. I haven't read a lot of her books, but I want to. They sound absolutely amazing. So that's definitely on my list to read more of her. Yeah.
She just is she just has this incredible way of just snatching you from the beginning of every single one of her books. I
think that's the key.
Admire her power.
Yeah. I always think it's that first sentence, because I work with aspiring authors as well. I'm a mentor, and I always say to them, in your first sentence, you need to pack in character, genre, and voice in one sentence. And it's hard.
That's really cool.
It really is hard, but when you do it, you can see it. I mean, it's just one of my favorite lines actually was from A Monster Calls, Patrick Ness, who wrote, the monster came when monsters are supposed to come in the middle of the night. I mean, how does that not draw you right in? It's lines like that you just think encapsulate the whole mood of the book. Which is fantastic.
It's insane.
Yeah. It's really, really good. Yeah. So a little bit of romance and then fantasy. And do you ever go urban, paranormal, or prefer your
not paranormal or anything spooky, because I'm just too much of a baby. Massively.
Interesting.
Really.
Yeah.
Hate anything. Actually, that's the only Colleen Hoover book I've ever put down is Layla, because I didn't realise it was a
That's the one I'm going to go and read.
Exactly. You'd probably love it. I got about 20% in, and I was like,
I just thought, not right.
Are they leaning towards this being a ghosty thing? And then it turned into a ghosty thing, and I was like, nope.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, it's. Do you know? And I've lost all track of things that are scary and things that aren't, because one of my I would call it more. So one of my books, The Shadow Keepers, is a psychological horror / dark fantasy, and people will say to me, "Is it scary?" And I'm like, "Well, no." But that's my perception. And other author friends come up to me and say, "Well, I'm not sure I can read that, or I had to read that with the light on." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not." So I lose all sense of judgment when it comes to scary, because I don't think things are scary, So I have to be very careful what I recommend. I'm like, no, it's fine. Your 11-year-old can read that. It's fine. I mean, I've got a 12-year-old who watches The Walking Dead because he does not bat an eyelid to anything. Yeah, it's incredible. I'm not a bad parent really, but he just nothing phases him at all. Whereas my 14-year-old, you can't get him watching anything above a PG. So it's different. It's different for everyone, isn't it? It's
I mean, you would never get me watching The Walking Dead. Zombies are my ultimate phobia.
But do you know what? It's not about the zombies. I don't like bloody things and stabby eye brain stuff. It's the characters. It's all about characters in that show, which is what it's brilliant. Really, yeah. But yeah,
my friend just said Hill House was an amazing book. I keep trying to get Jazz to watch it.
Oh, it's amazing. That is one of the best paranormal ghosty things ever made. That was phenomenal. And it was very scary. You won't like it, Jasmine. Yeah, no. Yeah. So your writing process, how long does it take you to write a first draft, for instance?
I think it took me about 5 or 6 months to get the first actual proper draft out. But this is a bit of a weird answer for me because I actually did start writing it 8 years ago.
Okay.
But then it has changed literally just so much since then that I don't even think I can call it the same book. There's only like 1 or 2 scenes that are exactly the same, and then there's only like a few characters that have stayed. Is this? I've smudged my makeup really bad. Don't look.
You just need to use one. I mean, the filters on live, I don't know if they work on live. I haven't tried, but you just do that. You'll be fine. Get some cat face or whatever, and off you go.
No, I had to actually put makeup on. I've got it all under my eyes, so nobody looks.
You look beautiful. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, how funny! Yeah. So then, carry on.
Sorry. Yeah, the actual first draft was probably only about 6 months, and then a few months of editing back and forth. I mean, yeah.
Did you work with an editor or beta readers, or how did you kind of work to polish it up and stuff?
Yeah, so after the third draft, I sent it off to beta readers, and they were so helpful. Literally, I mean, before I went into writing, I had absolutely no idea. I wouldn't know what they were or anything like that. But I'm so grateful to them because they pointed out sort of massive things that were issues and even small things. Like the funniest comment was that in my very first chapter, I put that the river was salty, and someone basically was like, "Rivers aren't salty."
Yeah, no, it's those little things, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really helpful.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it was a lot of self-editing because I cannot afford an editor. So it was a lot of polishing myself and kind of like asking opinions from my best friend and my mum and my sister. And then my mum and my sister is a English teacher, so she's amazing at proofreading. And my mum has been a proofreader for a long time, so like doing our dissertations and that sort of thing.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah,
good times. So so that's been the process really. A lot of redrafts.
Yeah. So what part of the process do you find the hardest, if any of it?
Editing.
Yeah, on the same.
Editing. Absolutely hate it. I think I don't know. I mean, I say I hate it. I think when I did my second round of edits, I was a bit more like, oh, okay, like this is fine. I'm on it now. I know exactly what I'm doing. And then when I was kind of on the third round and there was still quite big problems that I had missed, I was just getting really frustrated with myself because I was like, oh my gosh, how is there still things like just a silly thing that I had killed off an immortal character. This is before the beta readers were there. Yeah. And I was like, how did he die? Yeah. He's immortal.
Yeah.
Literally just got carried away.
Yeah. But you're reminding me of a comment I got from one of my editor on my third book of The Unadjusted, and it came and and Erica did blah 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 blah, and the comment in the margin was Erica's dead, and I was like, oh yeah, she died in the chapter before. She couldn't come back and start doing other things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I think
such a struggle.
Well, because I think when you edit and you move things around so much, and then you lose that continuity, and then things like that happen. So it's I agree with you. Editing is my hardest part, and I think for me, it's more about I doubt making big decisions. I'm afraid to make the big decisions. Like, does that character win? it's more about I doubt making big decisions. I'm afraid to make the big decisions, like, does that character work, or can I cut 3 chapters, or I don't want to do that without someone else's advice because I feel like I could make it worse. There was a book I sent to my agent. Before I sent it to my agent, I wrote it. I knew something was missing, brainstormed it, added some elements, sent it to my agent. She said, take out those elements that I added. I'm like, I don't trust myself anymore. So I always second guess big decisions. You know, I'm just like, I need input on that. So
but it's that's hard. The struggle, isn't it? Like, I mean, I know one of the biggest things that was a struggle with mine was the ending, because it actually had a completely different ending when it went to beta readers.
Right.
And like a few of them were like, not too keen on the ending.
Okay.
And then
interesting.
Other people were like, absolutely love the ending.
Oh, so it's
like,
a Marmite. It's a Marmite ending.
And
yeah.
Like, yeah,
and I think in those situations, you just got to go with your gut. I mean, if everybody says the same thing, then you know you've got to look at that. But if you're split opinion, then you just got to go with your instinct and how you want the story to be, really. So, but it's hard, definitely.
Hard.
Yeah,
exactly.
Did you get your foot stuck again?
No, my phone keeps dying, and I have to like hold it up on the charge, which is why it keeps disappearing. But yeah, I mean, with the ending was actually one of the parts that I was like, I think I want to change it. So then getting people say I didn't really like it, I was like, but then I kept it for quite a long time because I thought, oh well, it had quite a heavy influence on the second book at the time. And then I was talking to my mum about it, and I was like having, like panics about it. And I was like, Mum, I don't think I want to keep the ending. And she was like, no, maybe not. So I changed it. And then I actually added the first chapter of the second book as the ending of the first book.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Okay.
I think.
Cool.
Anyway.
I like that. So out of all your experience of going through writing and publishing, what part of the process has surprised you the most, or is there anything that's been like, wow, I didn't know that, that when you came to that stage?
I think just the whole editing process, like how big it was. I think I went in quite naive to it, kind of thinking, well, I've written the first draft now, like it's ready to go. And then I saw people saying about beta readers and all of that sort of thing, and I was like, I was very naive to the whole world of it, and I thought, well, oh my gosh, what, you're like giving your baby over to people, like what if they take it, what if you just don't. That was what my naive head was thinking. So I was quite reluctant to do it for quite a long time, and then when I did it actually ended up being the best thing. And because I thought, they'll just notice the same problems that I know or whatever, but then every single reader is completely different, so they pick up on different things, and it was just the best part of the process for me, because it was so lovely seeing people reading your work first of all, but then sort of wanting to help you with it as well. So I loved it.
Absolutely. And I think every author goes through that in the beginning. You worry about copyright and stealing ideas and all that kind of stuff, and then as you get more experience, you understand that doesn't really happen. And you settle into that whole experience of beta readers. And I totally understand. When I first started writing, I wrote in a total vacuum for 3 years, and I just went around in circles, didn't learn anything until I got myself on Twitter and met other authors and learned about courses and stuff, like you've learned through TikTok, and I started to realize what I could improve on, and all that kind of stuff. And TikTok is amazing. I mean, there are so many authors and people giving advice, and you just got to pick what gels with you and what works for you and all that stuff. It's fantastic. I mean, there's so many resources now. It's fantastic to to be able to access all of that. So it's incredible. I can't wait to read your book.
Yeah. And
slightly frozen, slightly staccato. I'm going to blame it on the foot being stuck again.
Something.
Just blame the foot. You know, it's fine. Oh, now I've got like waiting. I think you've totally done.
If I go on to 3G, am I back?
Oh, you are back. You are back. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You obviously need to get them to build a mobile mast outside your house. Or not.
I've gone on to 3G. I've gone on to 4G now.
Okay. You're golden. You're good then. Yeah. Oh. It's so frustrating, isn't it? It's just, I mean, the whole time I was on vacation in Wales, and my husband used to work for Vodafone, and he explained that sometimes it says 4G, but it's not actually real 4G, that it's trying to push a lot of data through at the same time, and everything gets slowed down, and it looks like you've got 4G, but you haven't got 4G.
Oh God!
But we didn't even have 4G or 3G. I just got the big E half the time, and I was like, I think for about half an hour in the evening, I had some internet connection where I could post a TikTok video, and because I realised if you don't post, your views just tank. So you have to keep doing it, and it becomes.
Yeah. You really do. It's like a daily grind.
Yeah, it is. And I just and you. I mean, okay, so I've got to ask this. You are one of the people on TikTok that just make me giggle. And I'm always compelled to watch your videos. How do you come up with these ideas? I mean, I'm not a funny person by nature. I'm more of a, here's my process, here's my journey, here's what I've learned, how can I help you? But you have these amazing videos that just make me giggle. And how do you come up with these ideas? I mean, do they just, do that? Or do you actually sit down and think, what am I going to do on TikTok?
It's kind of a mix. So like on the For You page, like I was saying to you the other day, like if I see a sound that I like, I'm like, how can I adjust that and make it kind of my own sort of thing? And I just have like too much fun with it, I think. I think my problem is too much free time. I just love sort of like, I don't know, just playing on TikTok. It's so much fun. But yeah, I mean, some of the ones I do kind of sit down a little bit longer and think like, oh, what am I actually going to say? I mean, anything with me talking, as you can probably tell from our conversation, I have to edit about 5,000 times because I just chat too much. And I'm like, I'm all over the place. I get distracted. My foot gets stuck in the bed. Like all of this stuff happens. Yeah. That's the chatty ones are tricky.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, there's a couple of times, especially before we went up to 3 minutes, where I had to re-record things and speak really fast, and I'm like, and sometimes I want to be like on for 20 minutes just to really explain something. Like if I'm doing a writing tip on something and I feel like it needs a lot more than 3 minutes, but you can't do that. So you've got, it's tricky, but I try not to, I don't have time to re-record, so like I don't care if it's not perfect. I'm just like, whatever. That's just who I am. It's me. I don't care. Whatever.
I love them though. I love them.
Oh, thank you.
So good.
Thank you. Right, I've got some really fun questions for the wrap up.
Okay.
As a writer, what would you choose as your mascot / avatar / spirit animal? So think like Philip Pullman, his Materials trilogy, or not. If you had a mascot or a spirit animal, what would it be?
Gosh, that's a tricky one. Probably a fox. I just love foxes. I'm literally obsessed with foxes. It's like one of my weird little things. Like foxes and wolves, I just think they're so beautiful. And like, I can just imagine having one like just, on you.
Absolutely. So well, you're like my new book coming out. There's a fox plays a big part in my new book actually. And my son is festivals. We have wolf canvases and pictures and figurines everywhere, and they are gorgeous. Yeah, they are gorgeous. They are amazing animals.
Amazing. They're just so lovely.
Good choices. Good choices. I like that answer. That's really cool. Okay, if you could only eat one meal and drink one drink for the rest of your life, don't think about health or anything like that, just think about pleasure, what would it be?
Roast dinners. I'm obsessed with roast dinners.
Nice.
I would literally eat them all day, every day if I could. They are so nice.
So do you cook a roast dinner yourself? Or you do? Look at you, that's very fancy. Yeah, wow. There's so many components to a roast dinner. I leave that to my husband. My husband's the cook, I'm the baker, so yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but wow. I'm a roast dinner. It's very good soul food, home comfort food, isn't it?
Yeah. Just the best. And I love roast potatoes.
Yeah.
Literally, like, I could just eat roast potatoes all day, every day. Yeah. And probably for the drink, I would say like gin with Fanta fruit twist. Yeah. If I didn't like get drunk constantly or whatever.
I have discovered the Whitley Neal gins, the flavor gins. Have you tried these?
Mm-hmm.
I've got about 10 different flavors in my cupboard. They're so good. So good. Yeah.
I love gin.
Dangerous.
It's so good.
It's dangerous. Yeah, it is dangerous.
It is.
Yeah.
Just tastes like squash. And then you're on the floor.
This group we go camping with every summer, every family has to bring a bottle of gin, and it's a little bit of a competition who can bring the most obscure, interesting, best gin. And that's
cool.
So we spend 3 nights drinking gin, and it's fantastic. You would love it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Right, Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Yeah,
100%.
I think that is the most common answer. I have had a rogue DC, but a rogue, I call it rogue.
Really?
Just, yeah. Well, I think with DC, sometimes I think the character arcs are more intense.
I'm with you.
So there are some people that appreciate that real darkness of the soul, as it were. But Marvel, I know, I'm with you. Marvel is just the big blockbuster fun. We're actually doing a project at the moment at home to watch them all again in chronological order. So
cool.
It's been really fun.
Lovely.
To see them all connect.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, it's good. It's a great time waster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I love them.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Yeah. Right, Tom and Jerry or Donald Duck?
Donald Duck.
I'm so glad. And I only ever asked this because I grew up with my dad speaks fluent Donald Duck. He's amazing. He could have been Donald Duck.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I'm going to have to get him on TikTok speaking Donald Duck because it is
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you said that. Awesome.
Aww.
Okay. What 3 books would you take to a desert island or give to an alien? Now, I think, I was asked this question once, and I actually think the answer to those 2 parts are very different. But that's just my opinion. So let's see what you think.
Yeah, very different. Because, like, to the alien, you're, like, kind of giving them a glimpse into humanity.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't recommend giving them, like, Akatar.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Either one would be the Bible because I'm a Christian.
I said that, and I said that because I thought it's a representation of humanity, of our history as well, irrelevant of even religion. You know, it's just
exactly.
Yeah.
And then, oh my gosh, for the alien, I think it would be really funny for them to read Ice Planet Barbarians.
Yeah.
Give them some ideas.
That is the best answer by far. I love it. Awesome.
And then what would I give them? Probably Song of Achilles. Absolutely. I don't think any book has like.
I haven't read it. Yeah, I know everyone talks about it. I haven't read it. I haven't actually been tempted yet.
Yeah, do you know what? I can see why, because the thing is that I go on about it a lot, but I'm obsessed with Greek mythology and stuff like that. So it was right up my street, but I can see why people don't like it. And it definitely wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
But if I was giving it to an alien, I would give them that, and then I would make them watch any Troy remake film with me, and then give them all the Troy books so that I just have someone to talk to about it.
Or give them the Iliad or the Ovid or something along those lines.
Exactly.
Even, you know, I mean, I actually really like Greek mythology. I don't know why I'm not drawn to it yet. There's other things I've seen that I've been drawn to. I will get there, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
But you definitely get books that get a little bit overhyped. That's just the nature of watching.
All the time.
Yeah.
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 I think it happens quite a lot, doesn't it? Like it happened with me with Caraval as well. I
haven't read that.
Vibe with that at all.
So what I'm confused about
like...
with that book, is that the book that was turned into the TV show with Orlando Bloom, and is that the same? No,
sorry, you just got me excited because Orlando Bloom is literally my favourite person of all time. But Carnival Row is completely different. So it's its own. It's its own. It's not based on a book, which I was really gutted by because I really wanted it to be a book.
I just assumed it was, because every time I saw Caraval, I thought it's got to be connect, and I hadn't investigated enough. But I loved Carnival Row, and I've got to say, Orlando Bloom, Pirates of the Caribbean, some of my favourite movies of all time, and people keep saying, I mean, you've got Johnny Depp and you've got Orlando Bloom, and I'm like, you need them both. There needs to be a threesome. You cannot choose, because they both bring something different to the table. You need both of them in the bedroom.
That's very true.
Yes, I really think so. But yeah, I'm obsessed with both of their characters in Pirates of the Caribbean. That's what I want.
Oh, they're just amazing. Don't get me started, because we'll be here for another 3 hours.
Yeah, I could write some fan fiction on that one. Woohoo!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hannah agrees. She's just commented saying agree.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Right. Last question of the night. Okay. Have you got any talents that would help you survive the Hunger Games?
No. Okay. I would die instantly. I literally I see all these people that are like, oh, me at the end of Hunger Games, I would not make it past the first.
No, I wouldn't either. No,
they would go for me first. I'm like 5'5", I've got nothing to me, I have no muscles. They would just be like, her first.
Maybe you could just run away and hide, be like Peter.
I can't
camouflage. Yeah.
This is the thing. I can't even run.
Yeah.
I would fall over. I fall over about 20 times a week. I would just fall over and die.
I came across, I don't even know who it is, somebody on Twitter in their bio that said, first to die in the zombie apocalypse. And it made me laugh so much. I'm thinking that's so me as well. I would totally. Yeah. But I'm thinking, being a fan of The Walking Dead, I might have picked up a few things. Like I can lace a baseball bat with barbed wire. I can do that and call it Lucille. You know, I'm all about that. And I would much rather go baseball bat than knife, because knife is intrusive. I've thought about this. Knife is intrusive. Baseball bat, you're at a little bit of a distance and you're just bludgeoning from afar, you know. To know the things I think at night, you know.
You put a lot of thought into this.
Yeah. I'm going to blame it on being a writer. Let's hope.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right, Jasmine, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. It has been an absolute, I could go on for hours talking to you, but it has been, there has to be an end. And it has been a delight talking to you. I cannot wait to read your new book. I cannot wait to hold your new book. I'm so excited for you. I mean, an author's first book is just such a precious moment, and I know you're feeling so many things right now. I mean, emotions are going to be all over the place. And are you doing any kind of launch or anything to mark the day?
Well, do you know what? I'm really stupid, and I just had the 21st of September in my head for some reason.
Okay.
Didn't look what day it was. Okay. It's the day that I'm at work. So,
yeah.
I know. I mean, I might see if I can get it off, because my boss does know about it. So I might
have to be on the day. I mean, sometimes people do launches before or a month after or anything like that. So
yeah, I might do something.
Yeah,
we'll have a little think about it, like maybe just like be live and sort of chatting with people or whatever. I don't know, but we'll see.
Nice. I mean, I always think, I mean, I had a couple of like in-store book launches for my first couple of books, and then during COVID, when my next couple of books came out, I didn't even bother. I was like, poured myself a glass of wine and that was about it. But actually, in December, my friend is going to be hosting a digital book launch on Zoom for me. And I just kind of think, I actually think it's really easy to let these things pass by, especially in a family like mine where I don't have other readers around me. But I think you'll regret it. So even if it's a month later or 2 months later, do something, even if it just going live and chatting, or just something to mark that occasion, or go out for dinner with your friends, and drink lots of gin.
I don't need much encouragement with that.
Do something.
Definitely.
Buy yourself a present or something, just to be, this is something I've done, because it's an amazing achievement. You've got your baby out there, and you have been working on this for years, effectively. And it's finally out there, and it's incredible. I'm so happy for you. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That really means a lot to me. Thank you.
Incredible. Okay, right. You go away and drink your drink. I'm going to go finish my prosecco, and we will chat again. And I'd love to have you back on when you're thinking about book 2 or before, or anything. We'll get you back on to chat about book 2 and see what people think about book 1, and do all those fun things, which will be really good. Yay.
Oh, thank you. That would be lovely.
Yes, definitely. Good. All right. Enjoy your evening.
And you. Lovely to see you.
Okay.
Bye.
And that was Jasmine Watson. She is the debut author of the fantasy book Torn, which, as you heard tonight, has some Grimm Brothers fairy tale influence. I cannot wait to read this book, with above, the below, the middle, a little bit of Stranger Things vibes going on, magical elements. It's got everything that I'm fascinated by. I cannot wait for people to check this out. Wow.